thanks for coming to this spring Hearne Eminent lecture. It's really a great pleasure and honor for me and for everyone here to have Andreas as our Hearne Eminent lecturer. Andreas is one of the eminent giants of quantum information theory, which is the quantum generalization of Shannon's information theory. That's what we're going to be hearing about this evening. He's established many of the foundational results in the field, including connections of negative information to quantum entanglement, and also interesting protocols and fascinating things you can do with them involving information locking and information hiding. Some results, such as matrix concentration bounds, I believe when Andreas was a graduate student, have been of great importance in the fields, and also other fields such as signal processing. He has many collaborations, and part of this has to do with the fact that he's a very friendly person, but also often if there's a major technical hurdle to be overcome by a team working on a problem, they'll seek out Andreas, and I guess the idea is let's bring in the giant to help attack this problem. I've done that a few times, as well as my supervisor during my postdoc, Patrick Hayden. And actually, I remember one story is one of your postdocs, Marcus Huber, he said to me, he was working on some problem and he couldn't solve it. And so I said, well, why don't you just bring in Andreas to help with it? And he said, well, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather comfortably think about this problem for a good 2 or 3 months rather than have it be solved in a matter of minutes or an hour. So, yeah, and also he's, besides these technical accomplishments, he's been involved in organizing many technical workshops in quantum information theory over the years, and he's been a mentor, and he's supported many younger scientists in our field. So without further ado, let's warmly welcome Andreas.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks first of all, Mark and Jonathan for inviting me, and thanks also for this introduction. It's a bit of a two-edged thing, of course. I mean, it's building up a lot of expectation on your side, I suppose. And I'm not really sure I can live up to this. In fact, I wanted to say I'm honored to give this Hearne lecture in this semester. Also because it gives me the occasion to say that I'm usually not. I'm not usually use this kind of level of formality. So eminent is not something that applies usually to things that are kind of that I do or that are close to me. But I do my best, and I maybe you can see this at least in the front row. I put on my best shirt with the H bar on it. So I think you should appreciate that. So yeah, I also use this as an occasion to apologize for the title a little bit. Quantum general theory, that's definitely honest. The ultimate physical limits of communication, maybe I went a little bit all out there. It's hard to gauge the kind of level you want to achieve in this sort of lectures. So now that you're all here, I may maybe deflate a little bit the hype or the build-up and reveal what I actually want to talk about. So what my plan is to give a short guided tour through Shannon theory, to communication theory, classical and quantum, and will be mostly historical. So we're starting with the actual giant's work in 1948 with Shannon. And okay, but before I go there, what I really want to do is I want to kind of just for a warm-up, I want to start with a very innocuous and maybe very primitive question. Actually, sorry, do I need to stand close to this, or can I just shout like this? Can you maybe if you're very in the background, can't hear me, maybe you should just come a bit closer.
So David, when you can't hear, do thumbs down, okay?
Okay, I'm used to shouting, so I should be okay. So yeah, what is information? It's a silly question because we all know what is information. We know pictures, something on a flash memory. Even this can be an information, see, because it has two different states. Why it's worth pausing and to reflect what we mean by information is that often we confuse the information with the carrier, and that's something that we should reflect that that's not really necessary. So this here, there's kind of the ink written on the paper. There's whatever the medium is, maybe JPEG, the integrated circuit, all these things. What I want to propose is, obviously it's true that information is something that we need to think about representing it physically in some system, in some kind of device or something. But so it's represented by the state of something, but it's not identical to the state. So, and this is a little bit of a home-cooked philosophy here. Maybe to approach a little bit this idea of what is information, it's something very abstract because it's not something you can touch upon. It's exactly the thing that you can move from one system to another one and back. And so after this, this is this switch that wants to go off. So after this little bit of introduction, so let's jump right at the Shannon theory. So this is a little bit of extracted from Shannon's founding work of 1948. So it was called a mathematical theory of communication. And so apart from, sorry, I tripped over something. So yeah, sorry, how to measure information. So again, I wanted to just bring in another small, very naive thing. Again, obviously we know how to measure information because we are surrounded by digital devices. You know, you can have a flash memory like this one here, 32 gigabytes. But that's not the same as the information that's there. I mean, we all know that this can be empty or there can be lots of pictures on it. And in fact, the operating system even tells us how much space is free and what not. So it has a way of measuring what is information and what not. So how do you do this from first principles? And this is what Shannon did. And so his approach is the following. So you have a piece of information. So it has to be represented somehow. And it has to come from some kind of bigger universe of possible informations. And so let's assume it has some kind of prior probability. Then he said, okay, a good measure of the information is the log of 1 over this probability. So the smaller the probability, the more informative this piece of information will be. Why? Because you expect it less. And okay, why not take just 1 over the probability or something? The log is actually very important. So instead of dwelling on the mathematical features of this function, a very intuitive way of thinking about this is the number of questions, of yes/no questions you need to find X. I'm sure we all know this game of 20 questions where you're supposed to ask, to find a hidden a secret, just asking yes/no questions to the person who thought about the secret. And so 20 questions, that gives rise to 2 to the 20 options. So it's a million different things you can think of and ideally you can find. And so if you have a priori probabilities, you can optimize this. The less likely ones you take more to find. Okay, so this is a very important thing if you know what's the probability of a particular object. Oftentimes you don't know this, but let's continue with this a little bit. So with Shannon's idea was, okay, information is something probabilistic. The entropy is somehow the expected surprise. So this is the individual information, individual surprise. The expectation is you take the sum of all the possible information. So of course, in a case of 20 questions with a million different objects, this may not be feasible, but theoretically, that's a well-defined concept. So yeah, what do we do if you don't know these probabilities? And okay, then you look at some kind of particular examples, contemplate these 4 messages. So now, previously I had just a piece of text. Of course, now I'm going computer science, they're just bit strings. Here we would probably think that, okay, the probability law is simply everything is a 0. Here we have alternating 0, 1, so it's kind of not much more informative, this one than that one. Also this one, when you look at it, it's not very informative because it has these blocks of zeros and ones that increase in length according to a very particular pattern. Well, we don't have time now to count. And only the last one, we might think that maybe these are more or less equally zeros and ones. And so empirically we would assign very different degrees of information. And it's something that Shannon entertained himself actually in a paper from 1950, where he made experiments to determine the entropy of our language and the written language, because it's easier because we have symbols already. And so his estimate from the paper, he comes up with various estimates, but it's around 1 bit per letter, which is kind of low. So it's, if instead of the theoretical optimum that each letter kind of independently appears equally likely, then you kind of get to this log 26, which is between 4 and 5 bits per letter. We get much less. So what does it mean? Well, what it means is that our language, or written language too, is very redundant. And that, of course, has a very important role in as we know now that we're used to information processing, to sending information for long distances. It helps us suppressing errors. Having redundancy, I mean, the simplest way of just saying something twice, you can check whether some kind of transmission has a problem. So language has this redundancy already built in. And so you can also, okay, on the other hand, it somehow means that we are not using the system in an optimal way, written one. So the fundamental thing, this is kind of the answer to the question how to measure information. The fundamental thing that he found, and this is maybe the most important thing in this paper, if you have a source of entropy h, so this is just a number that has to do with the distribution of the symbols in the source or in the information, you can compress it into binary sequences of bits. You can always translate it into another medium, and then the number of bits you need is h, and that's the limit. Yeah, the entropy is just a mathematical thing. It means you need to believe in probabilities. This is something very tangible. You just want to rewrite it as a shorter string. And that's what, again, I mean, this was revolutionary at that time. We are used to this. This has come into use very shortly after in the practice of computing through compression. There are lots of different compression algorithms that exploit this kind of idea. Okay, let's go into the transmission. I'm still in the prehistory of quantum information. So transmission is a bit of a different thing. It's not about quantification of information. It's about how much can you communicate from A to B. And so here's a very strong general definition of this without any mathematics. The fundamental problem of communication is that of reproducing at one point in space or time, either exactly or approximately a message selected at another point, again in space or time. So it might be a different place, but it might be also just you yourself earlier. And so, why is it a problem? You might wonder, because I mean, so it's kind of here we introduce these two agents, Alice and Bob, conveniently, which are in these different places. So one selects a message, and while the other one has to reproduce it here. So the problem is that usually you have noise that distorts or degrades the message, and that leads to regrettable misunderstandings. Okay, so the abstract models or diagrams like this you will find a lot in Shannon's paper. So the noise is some kind of a process, and so you should think of it really as a kind of as a non-deterministic process where Alice might select some input, a symbol from some alphabet. It undergoes some transformation, out comes a y, which is not identical to x, or maybe only with some probability. And then the mathematical problem that Shannon was facing was how to characterize the number of bits that you can transmit per channel, so the number of, I don't know, letters of English language per channel. And this is the capacity. And so this is kind of now I'm entering the territory that I'm writing formulas without even explaining what they are, but let's just stare at this. So one of the epochal findings in his paper were a formula for this capacity in terms of relatively simple quantities, and it's coming back to entropy. So maybe the best way of thinking about this is, so the ideal would be, okay, you have your entropy of the input. That is clearly somehow the amount of information that Alice is producing and feeding to the channel. But this is not the full thing that Bob can get. Bob has to somehow discount the entropy of the input given the output. So this is the uncertainty or the lack of information that Bob has if seeing the output of the channel what it is. And so this is called the mutual information. And so one of the side effects, one of the consequences of this theorem is that the capacity is always positive. Every channel, however noisy, you can communicate, unless it's entirely trivial. There's kind of one completely degenerate case when the output simply doesn't depend on it. It's a perfect jam. So of course we know that you cannot communicate. In this case, in all other cases, you have a capacity, and it's oftentimes not that small. So one example I want to show for later use is maybe the most important one that at that time and even today, communicating over radio. And so people had worked on this already for a long time, and in Shannon's paper he just takes this prehistory for granted and says, okay, the basic element of the noise is the following: the input to the channel is just a number, a real number, not a natural number, a real number, and the output is another number. It's the input added some random noise. So the channel just chooses another randomly, in fact, turns out normal distributed, this kind of the most extreme case, a normal distributed set, and adds it to it. And so whatever x is, y will be a random thing. And so the fundamental theorem that he found, this is one of the most famous formulas maybe in the classical information theory. The capacity is, well, let's forget about this factor here, the log of 1 plus the input power. So this is kind of how strongly the input varies, divided by the power of the noise. So this is called signal to noise ratio in engineering terms. And so we have this wonderful formula for the capacity. Again, it shows that, okay, even when the power is very low, you can always, or when the noise is very high, you can always communicate even though you pay, obviously, proportionally. So let's move to the quantum world to kind of deliver on the promise. So, well, we won't need that much quantum mechanics as it turns out. So I will just confine myself to this first of all. So quantum means that things are quantized, and so the very first one, the most fundamental thing is the fundamental quantum of action. Planck's constant, so this is a picture when he was very young. I don't think many people recognize him like this. And so, yeah, well, what did I write here? So at a fundamental level, fundamental physical level, so if you want to describe our communication systems physically, at a fundamental microscopic level, obviously, physics becomes weird, counterintuitive. Quantum mechanics is not very easy to grasp beyond the mathematical formalisms. So I said already, the parameters become quantized, for example, energies and so on. And yet, on the other hand, we have this continuous effect from the wave-like properties due to superpositions. Predictions are not deterministic, but only probabilistic. You have uncertainty and complementarity and so on. So this kind of, it makes it hard to talk about this theory in intuitive terms, or rather, if you try, you sound like a fool. But I'll probably do it anyway. So let's see. So I just want to show some kind of picture gallery of lots of Nobel Prize winners who all bang their heads against these weird features and towards creating a theory. So this Planck, first Einstein, de Broglie, Born, Heisenberg, Schrödinger, Dirac, and who I have here Hearne. So I want to have a multinational crowd here. So there are many more. There are many more Nobel Prizes in 20s, 30s, 40s for the development of quantum mechanics. And so, yeah, so instead of telling you more about the history of quantum mechanics, why should this be interesting for communication or for information processing? So I came up with two reasons. One of them is this radio communication that motivated Shannon and his contemporaries. Well, deep down, the electromagnetic field is described by a quantum mechanical theory. So there's only in some kind of limit of sufficiently strong power, of sufficiently strong pulses, that we recover kind of something that resembles our classical ideas of the Maxwell equation. The other one is that the technological development of information processing sooner or later, in fact rather sooner, will push us in a domain where quantum effects become not just visible but probably a problem for information processing. So I looked up Moore's law. The latest prediction is that by 2020, so in 2, 3, maybe 4 years time, the features will reach 5 nanometers. Now we are at 10 nanometers. So to give you a perspective on how small it is, the separation in the silicon crystal, in this pure crystal on which the chips are made, is only half a nanometer. So it's an order of magnitude below. So once you make things too small, the electrons just won't have space anymore to move. And so you will get all sorts of weird things. You will get insulation where you don't want it. You get tunneling, which kind of, again, you don't want it. So obviously engineers are thinking about making use of this to kind of grapple with this barrier, but we cannot go on forever with this. I mean, at a certain point our chips will, the transistor will be as large as one atom. And then neglecting the quantum effects might be just silly, because we have to master them to such a degree already that we want to actually use them rather than suppress them. So my history tour, it starts with these two, mostly because I knew the names already and I found pictures of them. So it's Gordon, James Gordon and Lev Levit, and they were among the first people in the 60s to speculate about, first of all, about a comprehensive mathematical model of communication through a quantum field. And so basically free space, so you just want to send an extremely weak signal of radiation. And they also had conjectures what the capacity formula might look like. So this was in the 60s. And it was, at that time, quantum information was not a super popular topic, but it did come to the attention of the information theorists, who in 1973 were celebrating 25 years of Shannon's founding paper. So by that time, Shannon theory was an industry. There were whole departments, generations of teachers and students dedicating themselves to fleshing out the details, making more and more general and more applicable developments of this. So this article here, John Deere, it was basically meant to be a history of the early days of information theory. At the very end, he comments on these things. So people look at these quantum channels, and then he says this very scathing remark that is not to read it out. So this one is, I like this already. I wish that physicists would stop talking about reformulating information theory, because obviously they had to even kind of start and really from first principles in those days, even to say what the channel is. What is a quantum channel? There was not a broader clean. So they would stop talking about this bullshit and would give us a general expression for the capacity of a channel with quantum effects taken into account. So it was like the idea in those days that quantum mechanics is some sort of an add-on. For example, you have zero vacuum fluctuations. You just put that and you basically have the same theory but with a bit of quantum. And so what the main thing what I want to achieve in the rest of the lecture is to show you that this is kind of good how it turned out. So first of all, a little bit of an indication of what those physicists had or had not done in 1973. So in those days, I should say, I was 2 years old when this disappeared. So I mean, to the extent that I participated in the quantum information community, we already knew the formula for the entropy of a quantum state. That's great. That was even super old. It goes back before Shannon. There was already some kind of good argument for how to write the mutual information. There were some other quantities that I didn't talk about, relative entropy, let's just forget about it. But this was, technically there was an important thing from mathematical development. And then these people here, this Elliot Lee, Petrovsky, and Joran Riegbrandt, they showed basically that these are the correct quantities because they behave like information measures. The most important ones, it decreases under data processing. If you look at the amount of information that one object carries about another, if you subjected to a computation or a time evolution, the information can only decrease. You cannot gain information by doing computation. And then the most important one was Holevo's information bound, which we now understand is just a special case of this, but it happened pretty much at the same time. So yeah, I was digging out all these pictures here. This is von Neumann, not in 1929, but in the 40s. This here, you should know what this is. This is ENIAC. So von Neumann was, of course, a very important member in the Manhattan Project. And yeah, so this was one of the best pictures I found of the next computer. Okay, so fine. Let's see how far we go. So I just want to show you a little bit what are the things that would change in the quantum case? What does it mean to take quantum effects into account? And so one of the simplest things that Holevo, one of the simplest models that you can have is that the only thing quantum is here in the middle somehow. So Alice is still here trying to encode a message into some X. So it's just a symbol from some finite alphabet. But what comes out of the channel is not another symbol subject to some error, but it's a quantum state. Actually, it's probably a bad way of speaking. It's how we talk jargon-wise. What Bob gets is a quantum system. He gets a photon or an electron or something like this in a well-defined state. So what it means to give him the system is that he will get control over the degrees of freedom of the system. And this state is somehow well characterized. It's something. And this is just a symbol here to say that this is the state. So I don't want to get into details on how we describe this. Now the thing is, one of the fundamental problems with quantum mechanics that makes it difficult to understand is you cannot just look at the quantum state. That's kind of not how it works. The quantum state is just a mathematical device to predict other things. So what are these other things? Well, Bob has to make a measurement. So here's kind of a clunky measurement, as in the meter. So he has to choose which observer to measure, and then he gets some outcome. And so then the overall thing, if you just string those together, you get a good old Shannon. So then you give this to a Shannon theorist and they are happy. As long as you don't show them the part in the middle, because maybe they get scared. Because you just have X and Y, and there's a kind of quantum mechanics allows you to predict the probabilities of Y given X. And so the first fundamental theorem of quantum information theory, I would say, is this one. This is this Holevo information bound, 1973. The Shannon mutual information, so this is the thing that goes somehow, this is this wonderful quantity that goes into computation of the capacity. This is upper bound by another thing that is inherently quantum. So this one we can, let's call it quantum mutual information. In the jargon we call it also after Holevo because it's kind of important specification. So how would you apply this? So what does that tell you about communication? So in communication, when you talk about capacities and all these kind of problems of compression, I didn't stress this very much now, but I have to come out of it now. We actually talk about long messages. We're interested in transmitting very long messages over many uses of channel, and then we are interested in, for example, how much information per channel use can have. So then, okay, we use our concatenated scheme in each of those channels, right? Obviously, we have some detection here. The output is measured, it produces Y. And we do this 1 to n times. And so then, the Shannon, as I said, we can just give that to the Shannon theorists. They have a general formula. You just maximize the mutual information, you get a capacity of this overall channel, forgetting about the quantum design. And so this, I stole this notation from some review paper a few years ago, so we call it C11, and it's just, I just put this index here to emphasize this is not the capacity of the channel, because we can do something better. We can make collective measurements. We can, I mean, these are, all of this quantum system together, it's just one big quantum system, that when we have some measurement, and then with this Y here, turns out Bob can do better. And the ultimate capacity of the channel is, that's what I write. See, this is given instead of, it's not mediated through the Shannon information, but through the Holevo information. And so this is an equality. This took more than almost 25 years, or more than 20 years since the information bound until 1995. So here, two other gentlemen, Ben Schumacher and Michael Small, and contributed to this result. And so yeah, typically you have a gap here, even though we don't really know how large this gap can be, but we know it's cases where we can do that. We can see that. And so just reducing the channel to a classical one is a bad idea. You should somehow, you have to acknowledge the quantum feature of it, and you have to do a processing of the full quantum information. And okay, so then moving to the next part, this quantum state, that clearly carries the information, but it's not information in the usual sense, because usual information, it has to be something that in principle you can write on a piece of paper, or in principle you can print it on a flash memory. But since it conveys something in the channel, it makes a lot of sense to think of this state, this intermediate state, as a new type of information. Well, it's not really clear why it's new, but we'll see why. And obviously the physical process is transforming this state. For example, the free evolution of a quantum system, or the equilibration in an open system. This is some kind of information processing of quantum. So what kind of information is that? Well, first of all, like with the Shannon information, you want to start with the digitalization. You want to find what are the units, the discrete units of this, and we call this the qubit or quantum bit. And this could be not any specific, but really any two-level quantum system. Again, because for the same reason, the information is not the state of a specific system, it's that which can be transferred to another quantum system. And so, for example, a spin can be spin up and spin down, and you can distinguish them perfectly by making a Stern-Gerlach type experiment. But because it's quantum, you also have all the superpositions of these spin directions. And that's beautiful about spin, because superpositions are just spins pointing in different directions in space. So it's kind of just another